Good afternoon. Today we will continue to study about the way that we link the subordinate clause to the main clause in a defining way or in a non-defining way. We've studied about the pronouns of who and whom in the first and second steps, orders. And we will study about the pronoun which. We briefly previewed the way that the pronoun which is applied with a specific premise. The premise to apply the pronoun which is a bit special compared to the application of the pronoun which as an interrogative pronoun, because this is able to be understood from the origin of the pronoun which. The pronoun which originates from the compound of the pronoun who to indicate a person and a word alike. That is a kind of, a sort of the descriptions. So we can understand the range that the pronoun which is able to indicate is classified into a person according to the pronoun who, and the subject or object that are close to, that are similar to a person but that are not a person, like the subside or the side of the range. And we admitted that the pronoun who is applied to indicate a person for the precedent in the main clause. This tells us that the pronoun which is specialized to indicate the subject or object that are not a person in the subordinate clause. So we admit that the pronoun which is only able to be applied with a precedent that is not a person. This can be understood as the specialization in the relative pronouns. And as we can understand, this premise tells us that we will consider this premise when the speaker applies a pronoun as in the non-defining way. The pronoun which can indicate the precedent that is not a person. This gives us a huge hint to identify the precedent that the pronoun which indicates. Okay. This was the review about what we studied in the previous class, and let's read the remaining description, explanation, and let's go to the next slide. The pronoun which to describe the precedent in the main clause is classified from the pronoun who to indicate a person and specialized to indicate a subject or an object that is not a person. The speaker links the subordinate clause to the main clause in a defining way or a non-defining way with the pronoun which that indicates the same subject or object as the precedent to indicate a subject or an object that is not a person in the main clause. There is an example. I water a tree in a garden which is beautiful. And this example is stated without a comma. This tells us that the pronoun which is applied in the defining way. The defining way tells us that the precedent or indicated by the pronoun which is stated right before the pronoun which. So we figure out that the precedent for the pronoun which is a garden. Okay, let's read the explanation together. The speaker indicates the object of the preposition in the main clause with the precedent, a garden. To indicate an object that is not a person in the subordinate clause, which is beautiful to describe the precedent, a garden. The speaker links the precedent, a garden, and the pronoun which to link the subordinate clause to the main clause in the defining way. And there is the second example. The second example consists of the same words as the first example, and the arrangement of the words is also the same as the first example. The only difference between the first example and the second example is the application of the comma ahead of the pronoun which. So we admit that this pronoun is applied in the non-defining way. So we need to figure out what the precedent is to interpret this sentence according to the original intent of the speaker. And then we can think of the premise to apply the pronoun which that is able to indicate a thing that is not a person as the precedent. So we can find the precedent as a tree because a garden is excluded because this is stated in the non-defining way. And there is an indicative expression, a tree that is not a person as the object, and the subject, the speaker, is not even considered because the speaker is a person. So we admit that the beautiful existence is a tree in the main clause. Let's read the explanation. The speaker indicates the subject of the preposition, in the main clause with the precedent, a tree, to indicate a subject that is not a person. The pronoun which to indicate the same subject as the precedent, a tree, links the subordinate clause, which is beautiful, to the main clause in the non-defining way with a comma. The first example, the first subordinating conjunction that is able to be stated in the defining way or in the non-defining way is the determiner whose. From the determiner whose, we will study about it in the next class. Thank you for watching.